It's time for another episode of the Cultural Hall. I want to call it a temple ticker because Corey K. Ward, the Pharaoh himself, joining me here to talk about temples, and we'll do that. But I imagine the lion's share of the time that we will chat today will be about the 36 new missions that were announced by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And I don't have a creative alliteration for 36 new missions yet, right? Like wishing for a mission, or that's not alliterations. That's just a rhyming scheme. I digress. Corey, how are you?
Doing well. Good try with that.
And it'll come to me, or someone will email us, contact@theculturalhall.com, and they'll say, oh, you know what you should call it. But here's the deal. Why are we calling it? I can't imagine that next week there's going to be another 40 missions, and then, in 6 months' time, another amount of missions. It's a crap ton of missions. I can't imagine we're doing this all the time.
It's only once a year.
Yeah. Do you think it's going to be that regular?
I mean, they every year there's an announcement on what missions are opening and closing, and so this is just this year for 2024.
Well, but normally it's like, and the Ohio Cleveland mission is being absorbed into the, Ann Arbor, Michigan, and the Cincinnati, Ohio mission, and you're like, okay, it's not. And we're dividing up all these places, and all the. You know what? Actually, let's just do the mission stuff first, and then we'll do the temple later. So sorry, temple fans, we'll get there. But just like the people that are waiting for you to do their temple work, go to the temple. We're gonna do that later. Let's do mission stuff first.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So, the church kind of had I would say, kind of like a public event where they invited the media and everything to make this announcement. They say that basically the increase in missionaries since the pandemic started to wane has necessitated 36 more missions to be organized. So just to give some perspective, at the end of 2021, there was about 56,000. By the end of 2022, we were at about 62,000. And then today we're now at 73,000. And I think they're expecting it to go up just a little bit more than that.
And those still aren't numbers that are as high as when President Monson made the age change, right? There was that huge, like 83,000 or something like that. And then it sort of waned, and then now it's starting to wax up again.
Yeah, by the end of 2014, there was 85,000 missionaries. And in 2013, they announced that they were going to create 58 new missions. So this announcement of new missions is the second most that have ever been created in 1 year.
But unique ones in this lot that I went, well, that's interesting. I don't know that I would have thought that would have been when we're thinking about new missions of the church.
Yeah, the location of a mission reflects, I guess, where the church wants to put resources, how many missionaries in what areas they want to put. Just to give some perspective, when there was those 58 new missions in 2013 announced, that brought the total up to 405 missions. And then in 2015, it peaked at 411. So back then you had about 210 missionaries per mission in 2014. And then today with this announcement in 2024, there'll be about 160. Even though there'll be more missions than there was, the missionaries per mission will be down at 160. So I think something that they mentioned in the news release is that they want more interaction between missionaries, mission presidents, and the ward level. And so I think this will help with that. I know a lot of young people appreciate having a mentor like a mission president and his wife to help them. And so just having that number be a little bit lower just gives them more freedom to do that.
Well, I mean, I equate it straight across the board with, like, think about your teachers, and like when teachers have 43 kids in the classroom, it's like, what kind of instruction is the kid in a 43 kid classroom getting? Oh, a 30 kid classroom? I mean, that's still way too many, any educator would tell you, but it's 1/3 less the other folks that are getting the attention. You're able to do that. I think it's it seems way more manageable on behalf of these people that are coming in for 3 years to be a mission president, likely have never done it before, to be able to get a manageable in the 100s amount of people to go, okay, I can learn names like that. Just names alone, even though you get the gimme of sister and elder are the first names of everybody, you still are having to learn the last names of 160, 200 people previously. Now making it a little bit less. So manageable. I get that. I get that perspective of it.
So yeah, both things are true. The number of missionaries is rising a little bit more than the average. And the church is just trying to provide more resources to missionaries, which I think is probably a good thing.
So 450 in total. Let's get into the ones that are reopening. By the way, spoiler, Ohio, Cleveland not reopening. Apparently all the ones that Joseph Smith had chosen in heaven had already served, and so they closed it. That was always the thing that we told ourselves.
Nice.
If you served in the Ohio Cleveland mission, you were hand selected in your pre-existence by Joseph Smith to serve there.
Yeah, the California Modesto mission reopening. It was actually one of those new missions back in, I think, 2015, and it was only open for a brief period, 2 years, and then they discontinued it, but it's back from the ashes. And then also reopening Tallahassee, Florida, Salt Lake City East, Sendai, Japan, Hamburg, Germany, and Porto, Portugal. Which I think the Porto mission in Portugal has been opened and closed like 3 times, so it's back again.
I would imagine it's kind of like remind me where you served your mission.
And Mexico, Cancun mission.
So did you have areas in Cancun where when you had a lot of missionaries, they would open it, and then when there were not enough, they would sort of close it? It seems very much like that. I can remember areas in the Cleveland area where it's like, when we've got a bunch of elders, we're going to open up that second Chardon apartment and we'll put elders there. Oh, we don't have enough. We'll close that down, but we still paid the rent on it because every other transfer there was that extra set, and that was the place that they would go. So it'd just be open, close, open, close, open, close.
Yeah, definitely. I would say that if in some cases, maybe you had only 1 companionship per ward, maybe you do 2. If there was a few branches, you maybe have one companionship cover the 3 instead of just the 1. So yeah. But I also noticed that there's some big missions geographically that got divided. And I think this will also help the mission presidents who have to constantly travel around, not have to travel around as much. Like the Missoula, Montana mission will be organized. That mission had all of Montana and part of Wyoming, and so it won't be quite as big anymore. Also,
really?
El Paso. Yeah, it was one of the biggest missions in the United States.
So that one, so Missoula is being created.
Yeah, and divided from Billings.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Yeah, and just just like you mentioned, the travel alone, but that 6 months of the year, part of the country is like, don't go anywhere. So now you don't have to drive the crazy roads. And then I was interested to see El Paso as well. Was just a massive mission.
Yeah, being divided from Albuquerque. So that big part of Texas will be its own mission. Salt Lake City, Charleston, South Carolina. This is a new one, but it's basically going to take all the coastal Carolina states, probably. Manaus, South Brazil. Basically, all the Amazon rainforest does its own mission, and something like 13 stakes, really spread out. So yeah, it's definitely a good candidate for a division. Cochabamba, Bolivia South, La Serena, Chile, Tecuman, Argentina, Mexicali, Mexico right there on the border, and then in Africa and Madagascar, they're going to split the mission in 2. So those are some places where I saw that it's a huge mission geographically, and it will probably help for administration to have it a little bit smaller.
It strikes me that most of those are in the American continent, North and South America. That isn't the case other places, just because that infrastructure is probably already like that, or is it just like the structure of those countries, and we sort of don't think of. Let me think about what I'm trying to say, because like Europe, I guess we feel like it's closer or smaller geographically, but you have these just big expanses of places in North and South America that we're like, yeah, divide that in half, and it's still twice as big as anything in Europe.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. And then these new missions for large populations. Exciting about this too.
Yeah, these will be places where there's a lot of just people that are members of the church, and it will provide better access to reach those populations. The mission in Thailand and Bangkok will split. The mission in Cambodia will split. Those are interesting because they have a very few amount of stakes. Cambodia only has 2 stakes, and you're going to basically split the mission, 1 stake in the other and 1 stake in the other.
It's a competition, head to head. Who can get the? I don't know.
Yeah. Also Kenya, Nairobi will split. Port Harcourt, Nigeria will split. They'll have the 7th mission in Lima, Peru, which is the Northeast mission. The 4th one in Dallas South. The 3rd one in the Las Vegas area, Henderson, Nevada. The 3rd one in the Dominican Republic, Santo Domingo mission on the north, and then the west in Quito, Ecuador, east Puebla, Mexico, Accra, Ghana, I think that's north, and then Kinshasa, Democratic Republic of the Congo will be the 3rd as well, in the south. So
when we look at Lima, it's essentially like the 8 directions. So there's just one that's not represented, right? There's the Northeast.
Yeah, I think it's so. There's
Lima
Northeast,
Northwest.
There's like North, Northwest, South, East, Central, and then there's one called Lima Tambo.
Okay.
Kind of out of the ordinary, but yeah.
Well, I think we should get it so it's all the dials on the compass. Yeah, the Lima Northeast, they're like, yeah. The Lima North, oh, come on. The Lima Northwest, yeah. I'm excited about all of the new missions in Africa as well. Like, this is where I feel like, we're 450 now. The 450 to 500, I think the majority of these will be divisions and more specific attention paid on Africa from 450 to 500.
Yeah, there's a few missions being created in Africa that are kind of in outlying areas, places that haven't received a ton of attention, but will receive its own mission. So Bo, Sierra Leone, is a place that really quickly grew from just a few branches to 3 stakes. And so
and there's a temple coming there, correct?
In Freetown, the capital. But this is kind of a city that's outside of the capital. Takoradi, Ghana. It's kind of over by there, like Cape Coast, where there's just a temple announced, but it's kind of in the southern part of the country. Calabar, Nigeria as well. There's a temple announced there. So that one's mission. And then in Democratic Republic of the Congo, the Kolwezi mission, which is was a surprise for me because there's only 1 stake. It's kind of out in the middle of nowhere. So it's going to have its own mission.
Well, they need the attention, and they can get a temple eventually as well. I know we've got a couple more missions that we're going to talk about, but a question strikes me: are there any of these places where missions have been opened that you feel like, well, boy, this is the next step right before we get a temple announced there? Anything that is glaring as far as that goes?
Yeah, a lot of these places, there's been temples recently announced, recently dedicated, or places I could see temples pretty soon. Like Bo, Sierra Leone, I think those 3 stakes are enough for a temple.
Okay.
Let's see. El Paso has been on my radar a lot. Mexicali, Mexico as well.
But El Paso didn't get a temple just now. Other places in Texas did.
There's other places.
Okay. Yeah, come on, El Paso.
Yeah, let's see. There's probably some more.
This is the kind of fun stuff that you'll be like, you know what? I spent the rest of my day looking into that, and I've got the updates for you, which is why I love that you do this and are able to share this stuff with me. The Utah missions, and I know that everyone listens to this worldwide that speaks English and understands, what we're saying and all that kind of stuff. But I want to take this really Utah-centric for a second. I was really surprised to see the addition of a couple, more than 1, Utah missions.
Yeah, so we already talked about Salt Lake City East will be reinstated after being discontinued, and then 2 new ones in Utah County. And so the Utah Saratoga Springs mission and the Utah Spanish Fork mission, you might be called to soon. Basically, these are splitting the Orem and the Provo missions that have, I think, the Provo mission has 107 stakes.
Sure.
And Orem has something close to that as well. And so there'll be probably clean split on both of those. I heard that maybe there's a goal to have at least 1 companionship per stake in Utah, which is huge. So,
but you think about that, and the difference between 1 companionship per ward, which that was what it was like in Cleveland. And the stake that's anywhere between 9 and 12 wards, and people are still not seeing the missionaries that much, but 1 companionship per stake. That's pretty significant. So Saratoga Springs, I imagine, is going to take everything like Eagle Mountain, that side of Utah Lake. That's that mission. And then I imagine Spanish Fork is everything beyond the Provo city line.
And it might go south to Manti, split the St. George mission.
Okay, so St. George comes up to Manti. Is that the only other mission in Utah? Is St. George?
To the south, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, that makes sense. Kind of that. What takes in like places like Moab and some of those like Lake Powell, some of those.
St. George.
Those are the St. George missions. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I guess they could do like a Utah East. I don't know.
Like the Provo mission goes all the way to Vernal and and Heber City. So
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could see as if they made a focus towards that, and as growth continues, something sort of there on the eastern part. So you literally are just like Provo is Provo, Orem is Orem, and that takes up all of that side of Utah County and going down. But I mean, that's pretty significant when you think about the growth of the church in Utah County and the specificity and directness that those mission presidents can have with those individual missionaries in that particular area. And think about all the member mission presidents that Utah County has. You ever heard that joke before? Every member
every member of mission president. Yeah.
Are you supposed to be doing that? Every member of mission president.
There you go.
That's fun. And then go ahead.
Yeah, I think I've mentioned all of them except the 3 new ones in the Philippines. So one of those, the Tegugorao, is where a temple was recently announced. So that will bring the number of missions in the Philippines up to 26.
Wow.
And then, as we mentioned, the one in Brazil up to 37, and then the 2 new in Mexico will go up to 34. So those are the countries with the most missions outside the United States.
And then you mentioned Matt Martinick. Tell people who that person is and why that's significant.
Yeah, he runs a blog called The Growth of the Church of Christ of Latter-day Saints, and he tried to analyze the claim that the reason why there's this all of a sudden this bump in missionaries is that there was maybe 20 years ago the birth rates were higher.
Mm-hmm.
There was kind of a bump, but in his looking at the records, he can't really find a clear correlation, and it's kind of hard because people serve missions at different times. There was the COVID, but people put off missions, so not quite. There's not necessarily one reason why all of a sudden there's a lot of new missionaries. It's kind of a lot of reasons that you can't pin down.
Okay.
So it's worth looking into.
And let me ask you this about Matt as well. Are you guys good friends? It seems like you guys would be like chatty Cathy friends, you know, hey, did you see this? And you kind of have these sort of like inside jokey things. Is that all in my mind?
No, we don't talk. I just comment on his blog sometimes.
Okay. I'm going to make that connection because I feel like that's a friendship that needs to happen. All the links, by the way, for everything that we're talking about, available in the show notes. Let's take a quick break, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to do the actual temple ticker here in Articles of News. All right, here in the second half, we're going to get to the actual temples of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It's why we would kind of call this a temple ticker. Most of the time, Corey K. Ward just talks about temples, but those missions were so exciting. We started with that first. I want to give the people what they want, and I would like to go to our mailbox, our postal carrier, and address the things that people have wondered about the temples. There were a couple of questions that people sent in, contact@theculturalhall.com. One is about the Missoula, Montana temple, and one is about the Colorado Spring, Colorado temple. So let's go there.
Yeah, someone was wondering if there's any news about the temple that was announced in Missoula, Montana. Obviously, we just learned they're going to organize a mission there. But I'm sorry, I really don't have anything for you. I'm not sure.
No, we don't know nothing.
I don't know. The church has been really fast of announcing temples that are in the United States where they're going to be located within maybe a year or so. They normally do that. The ones that in the United States kind of get right out of the gate. But this is I think the temple in the United States that's been announced the longest that doesn't have a site yet. So, and I haven't heard any rumors. So
do you think Missoula, because Missoula, this is me projecting, like Missoula, I feel like is a little bit like Cody, Wyoming. They're not similar in that, it's Wyoming and it's Montana. I recognize that they're different states, but these are going to be a smaller, tighter knit community. The attitude is sort of like a, whoa, what's going on in my community kind of thing. Do you think it's something like that, or am I just projecting all my Cody angst?
It could be. It just could be that they don't have a good site yet and they're still looking for that.
Yeah. Okay. So. Fair enough. If you know anything about that, contact at theculturalhall.com, you Missoula saints. Now you're getting your own mission. Tell us where the temple is going to be. And then what was the question about the Colorado Springs temple?
Just also if I've heard anything about it, where it's going to be built. Well, going back to Matt Martinick, who lives there, he tipped me off that there's a site in the northern part of the city that's owned by the church. And this week I went on the property viewer that the city has, and I did confirm that that's what the church owns. It's in a place called Northgate, just off of Flying Horse Drive. So yeah, there's about 9 acres there that the church could theoretically build a temple.
So nothing official.
Nothing official.
You heard it here first on the Cultural Hall's temple ticker on Flying Horse Drive. I love that.
Yeah,
I love the name of that. I also was going to ask you. You sort of like the challenge that people give you with these kind of things, right? If people want to know this stuff, it makes it a little more personal, kind of a fun adventure. Or should I dissuade people from asking these questions?
Go ahead.
Okay, cool.
Just some things are unanswerable though.
And then another thing that isn't on yours, and then I promise we'll get to your prepared temple things. I saw an article. Did you know that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is the largest landowner of 11 states?
Oh, I didn't know that many.
Isn't that
Florida?
wild?
But yeah.
Of 11 states, we are the largest landowner. And let's get a little nerdy because I don't know why this article in particular popped up. We shared it via our Facebook, where we shared lots of news, facebook.com/The Cultural Hall, or you can just search The Cultural Hall on Facebook. But the church owns 690,000 acres of Florida. And, ready, math nerds, come with me on this journey. The article that I read said that it is, on average, an acre of land in Florida. So recognize that there are some that are above and some that are below that are about to come at me for this thing that I just want to share perspective. If we own 690,000 acres at an average of 30,000 acres, we own alone in the state of Florida $20 billion worth of land.
Oh,
I just think that that's interesting. There will be people that will be like, "What, shouldn't we own the land? Do you not want God to have farms when people..." No, I'm not saying any of that. I'm not saying that we should or that we shouldn't. I just think that it's an interesting perspective to go, okay, wow, 690,000 acres, first of all. And then second of all, $20 billion. That's a significant amount of money and thing. And then the other thing that I think why this article is coming out is I think like 50,000 of the acres, the church has been like, we're going to build Daybreak East. And it's this massive planned community where there's some opposition to it because, it's some rurality and, whether or not they're going to have the resources and the infrastructure and all this stuff. But the supposition is that we're just going to be like, if we build it, they will come buy the land in this place and let's take these 50,000 acres and make like a super community.
Yeah, that's certainly how things are going. It's very profitable to convert farmland to development. So
yeah, wild though, isn't it? Isn't it just it to me, when I heard the number of the 11 states, I thought that was significant. And then to know that it's, almost 750,000 acres in one particular state. And it's not like it's not a state that we talk about a lot, right? Like Missouri. Okay, everyone I think would be like, yes, of course
Yeah.
we do. We're gonna go back there. We have to have the state. Or Utah, it's like, of course we homesteaded it. We didn't have to pay for it. We got it all when we came there, right? But some of these other things, I go, okay, I didn't know that. That's significant. That's all.
Yeah. I'll link to the show notes. The Salt Lake Tribune did an investigation of this, I think, last year, and they did have a big map of all of the properties that the church owns in the United States.
Yeah, but it is incomplete.
It is incomplete though, but it's
that that's not all that they've got.
Something.
Now, may we address temples and take us, please, to Lima, Peru. Los Olivos.
Yeah, Lima Peru Los Olivos Temple. It opened up to the media this week. It's gonna have an open house starting tomorrow, going through December 9th. A good 4-week open house. This is the third city in the world to have 2 temples within its city boundaries. First one was South Jordan, Utah, then Provo, Utah. In a few months, it'll be followed by St. George, which will have another temple. And then other temples will be dedicated in Guatemala City, Sao Paulo, Mexico City, and Santiago, Chile. So these are just cities that have the 2 temples in their boundaries. So there's other places that have like at least 2 temples in the metro area, but this is like the political boundaries of the city.
Yeah, because you also consider like Draper is to South Jordan as Ochre Mountain is to Salt.
Yeah.
So you got some places like that. And then I also think about like Las Vegas will be another place, and I'm sure that there's other places that, as we think about all that President Nelson has dedicated, those are just like the next 5, but this will be a much more common occurrence.
Yeah, Las Vegas is a little bit different because the Las Vegas temple is in Clark County, and then the new temple in Lone Mountain will be in the Las Vegas city itself. So it's a little bit different.
See, you're like, that's nice that you think that, but actually that's not what that is. Okay. And it seems large that there's 49 stakes in the metro area, but that's for the various temples that are there. That's not just this one particular temple district.
No, yeah, this is for the whole city.
Yeah.
The 2 temples will share all the stakes. There's 49 stakes in the Lima metro area. We talked about that there's gonna be 7 missions, so like 7 stakes per mission. So this will be the second temple. The first one is in the La Molina neighborhood. This one's in the San Martin de Porres neighborhood. Interestingly, there is a neighborhood called Los Olivos, but the temple's not there. So my pet peeve of always naming temples out of cities that they aren't in.
Yep.
It's true again. But they put some olive trees in the gardens, so
perfect.
It's all good.
Is that what Los Olivos means?
That is.
Okay. I thought it meant not in the city of Los Olivos. That's what that translated loosely, but I guess it's not. It's a large. It seemed. I clicked on the thing and seemed like I'm like that is a big old temple.
Yeah, definitely turns in Latin America. It's one of the biggest temples. 2-story, 47,000 square feet. It's a white granite temple, kind of an Art Deco design. It was interesting because when they released this design, it was the first kind of large temple not to have an Ninja Moroni in many decades. And so this kind of started a trend where Moroni was missing. At the time, there's an interview with there's this organization called MOSFE. That's basically a church positive media place that kind of does independent journalism. And they talked to 2 temple architects that came down to Lima to kind of present the temple. At the time, the guy said that the Lac Moroni was because there wasn't going to be a tower on the temple.
Mm-hmm.
And he said they didn't want to put a tower because the temple looked kind of too tall next to the other buildings that were around it. They called it like a semi-urban feel. And so they just decided that the tower wasn't appropriate in the area and that they would have a flat roof, kind of in the style of the Cardston, Laie Mesa temples earlier in the 18th century.
And the people of Cody are like, come on, they're doing it in Lima. Why do we need a tower in Cody?
But this is 2 stories, so it's a little bit taller than the Cody one. But they said it's kind of that harkens back to the Solomon temple style. So
yeah, I like this kind of, when I think of the temples, I really like very much like the Laie, the Mesa, the Cardston. I like that look for some reason. I
think this is what they're going for. Yeah.
The Spanish. I also like the Spanish design that you get of like some of the California ones and some of those. I like those too, but there's sometimes, even though, and don't get at me, everyone, like I love the San Diego temple, but they're very much to me, sometimes I'm like, that is how people in Southern California, where they're like, oh yeah, Joseph Smith's Magic Kingdom, like I mean, it very much does feel like this kind of thing, which I love, and it's beautiful pictures, and I go every time I go there, and I feel a spirit, and it's a great celestial. None of the things, but I do think that there is very much a different feel when we're like grandiose, and Simple, the temple that has some architecture that leads back to, some things that we would read in the Bible and, some of these other things. I guess I'm just saying there's a place for all of it in my mind.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it does fit well in the neighborhood. It's still very noticeable, so it's not
Yeah.
like it blends in. They put all the parking underground, so that it has plenty of room for gardens, and then they have 2 housing facilities right there so that you can stay while you're going to the temple.
That's cool.
The site was where they had a meeting house and an institute building. So those 2 things were demolished when they built the temple. We saw the interior photos of the temple for the first time. I really like the baptismal font. From what I can tell, it's the first baptismal font that's perfectly square.
As it should be.
As it should be. A lot of round ones in the church, but also a lot of like hexagons and octagons. And as far as I can tell, this is the first one that's a perfect square.
I wonder if there's anything to that.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I wonder, we seem to be a group of people who do things very intentionally. And I wonder if, there's something, there's a grid system in that town. The temple is square because of this, some sort of nod to something is why we did that.
Yeah, throughout the temple and in the stained glass, you see the cantuta flower, which is just kind of like a climbing trumpet. I guess it's the national flower of Peru. You see that a lot all around the temple. And then you have like tendrils climbing up, which are like vines that climb up different surfaces all around the temple. That's kind of the design. You also have a lot of olive branches that you see in the ceilings and everything. You really have some cool pink flower accents on the ceiling in the celestial room and the ceiling rooms. And there's a really cool central staircase right in the middle of the temple. So
I love it. I love it. Vina del Mar. Why do I know Vina del Mar, Chile? Is that like a vacation spot? Is that in a something? Like a movie or?
I don't know. It
You know
is.
what I'm saying?
It
Like
is probably, yeah. If you're gonna go Chile on vacation, this is probably one of the top spots to go
okay,
to.
maybe that's all it is. It is the place to go.
Talked a lot about this temple when it was announced because it was only announced a month ago. But we learned that the temple will be built in downtown Viña del Mar. It's the current place where the Viña del Mar Stake Center and Mission Office is located. So I know a missionary that went there. He knew exactly where it was. It's where the mission office is. Interesting, it's right next to the Museo de Artes Decorativas Palacio Rioja. So it's one of the top, I guess, museums in the city. The city has a nice heritage of French aristocracy and French architecture. So I think if they just copied the design of this museum and made it the temple, that would be good.
Yeah. Is that a strong suggestion? Is that what I heard?
Maybe.
Guys, you don't listen, save a little money on your architecture. Just make it look like that building over there. Do that. Interesting, that museum also, you can see a shrunken head.
Oh yeah. Who is it at?
I don't know. It just says in the very quick Google search that I was able to do about this, it said the museum features stone moai sculptures and from Easter Island and shrunken heads.
Interesting.
So if you've ever wanted to see a shrunken head and do baptisms for the dead, hey, that rhymes. Wait until the Vina del Mar temple opens. It's a gorgeous city. My goodness. Just clicking through some pictures. That might be a thing. Babe, listen, we gotta go. It's a temple. I know it's a beautiful town, but we're going for the temple. Let's head down there. It's absolutely just a stunning, stunning, stunning place. Also stunning, Winchester, Virginia.
That's right. Just as a follow-up, we already talked about that they announced the site, but the local media looked up the purchase. They said the purchase was just under $10 million. So if you're curious of how much a temple site costs, something around there.
Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Yeah, we also got to see what that temple's going to look like. It's kind of a simple white granite design. It is of this footprint, this 20,000 foot footprint, square foot footprint. This is the first temple in the United States that's going to have this design. This design's been used a lot in Africa, a little bit in Latin America. So this will be the first one in the United States like this.
You put in the show notes that it's a former Christ Community Church, not Community of Christ Church.
Exactly. Not our cousins, but just a local evangelical church that I guess the church bought, and they're going to tear that down and build the temple. So
It's a cousin once removed.
maybe a little bit farther back than the Community of Christ, but yeah.
And then temple presidency announced. I thought this was significant.
Yeah. Normally when a new temple gets a temple president announced, it's within some months of dedication. So the Desert Peak Utah Temple now has a temple president and matron. They're from Grantsville, Kenneth Hale and Jenny Hale.
Any relation to the Hale Center Theater folks for people in Utah? Do we know?
Not that I can tell. He was a general contractor for Hale Construction. So they probably have done work out for Utah.
He's like, I did the outside of the temple. Now I'm in. Here we go. When does that temple hasn't dedicated, open, any of that kind of stuff? Do we have an idea? Obviously, with the temple presidency, we know that that's coming close.
I know, but it's getting closer because they've started to put on the exterior lights, test those and everything. So it looks, it's getting finished. They probably still have interior work to do, but yeah, within 6 months, maybe.
Okay. Geez, Utah, we're just doing it. And then a construction and approval news. Let's go here.
Yeah. Heber Valley Utah Temple has been going through the legal mechanisms. A lawsuit was dismissed by the court from the Dark Skies group. So that's not going to go any further. They may try something else. Also, the manager of Wasatch County said that we didn't give any special treatment to the temple. In fact, we probably gave more scrutiny to the temple, considering all the public interest of what it is. So he's saying, whenever there's a grocery store, everything or anything big built like that, we look at the lighting, we look at the water being pumped out of the area. It's all pretty similar issues, but for some reason, because it's a temple, a lot of people are more invested in it. So
sure, they're heightened, and that makes sense because people don't want to feel like they're being taken advantage of or bullied or anything like that. That makes sense to me.
That's going to be a landmark that changes the skyline of Heber.
Yeah.
So they had a meeting last night on November 8th, and the county council unanimously approved the temple. So it looks like it's going forward to construction.
It's done. But not done. But fights are over, maybe.
For the most part.
Yeah.
See.
Interesting. Well, it is the temple ticker, Corey K. Ward. People have found fascination with the Facebook page that you do. Tell people about that. The chapels of the daily chapel. You're worshiping. To tell people where they can find that.
Yeah, it's Latter-day Saint chapels around the world daily. I just like to see what Mormonism looks like around the world, and so the physical manifestation of it is in the meeting houses, and so it's just really interesting to see what they look like around the world.
Now, as part of that, do you ever leave reviews for the church houses? Because those are some of my favorite things to read. Have you ever read those? The Google reviews for chapels?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. I think you should make that a part of your mission work. Not only do you share, but you also have like a grading system, and you leave that in the Google review for that particular house.
Okay, I'll think about it.
No, you won't. I love it. Corey K. Ward, contact at theculturalhall.com if you have questions that you would like him to investigate. We probably get a couple weeks, I guess, of not being able to visit with you. We've sort of, unless the church drops something on us that we feel is super overwhelming, we'll have you back again in the future. Maybe some development with Cody. I'm searching down the city manager of Cody, Wyoming to try and be on an episode. Just to give a boots on the ground kind of perspective of this is what it's like being here, being in this situation. So we'll see if we can't get into Cody and talk to someone about that temple up there. Maybe something about the Heber City Temple, though it sounds like it's at rest now. We hope that this episode has nourished and strengthened your body, that if you're not healthy enough to listen this week, that you'll be healthy enough to listen next week. And I'm doing all the things. Why did I do that?
And that when the time comes, you'll be able to travel home in safety.
In the meantime, we'll be saving a seat for you
on the back row
of the
Cultural Hall.